guys, welcome back, and if you are new, welcome. This channel is called Beauty Pie and my name is Heather. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Now today's video is a demo slash review on two of the newer, they're not brand new, they've been out for a few months, but a few of the newer Makeup Forever products. So I'm talking about the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation Stick and the Ultra HD Invisible Cover Concealer. I'll first talk about the shades that I have. This is in the shade 120 or Y245, and the Y is for yellow because I do have a slightly yellow undertone. And I do, for reference, have the old school Makeup Forever HD. Now this is not the Ultra, it's just the OG formula, and this one is in the shade 120. So I was still able to find my foundation and the newer one based on how they do like the 120 and then the new formula or the new name system that they have. There is a pretty big difference between the two. I'm not going to focus too much on this one because the review is about the stick and the concealer. Now about the stick, I will say this is probably best if you have dry skin because it has a very dewy satin finish to it. However, that being said, I still find you need to set it with powder because I know for me when I'm doing makeup, I tend to rest my hand somewhere. If I'm blending out eyeshadow or applying lipstick, I might steady my hand with my pinky or something like that. So if you're not setting it with powder, I find it can rub off. Other than that, I think the formula is fantastic. It is very high coverage. It's very travel friendly because it's in the stick. It has this little guard on it. Now, I wouldn't necessarily travel in the summertime, like if you're going to leave it in your car or something for touch-ups. I wouldn't do that because I think it would melt. It is very creamy. This is pretty much butter for your face, and it just cranks up. And I love this also because when I'm doing liquid foundation, if I'm applying it to the back of my hand, it gets messy. It will get underneath my fingernails, which is gross and really hard to get out from under there. So this, you just draw it on, get your war paint on, and blend it out. So I love the convenience factor of the stick. And I do like the formula. I do find it lasts pretty well on me. Now granted, I've only used it in the winter time. I know we're slowly but surely creeping up on the warmer weather here. Hopefully very soon because I'm really tired of the cold. But I haven't tested it as far as out in the heat, if it's going to melt off or anything like that yet. So we may revisit this in the summer and see how it goes. But I do think overall the formula is fantastic. I think it is a little bit more fuller coverage than the liquid version, and I think it is a little bit more of a satin finish as well. Overall, I do like it. Now this has, I believe this range has about 15 colors in it right now, and it retails for $43. Now obviously I'm not a huge fan of the price tag, but I do really like this. I don't know if I'll repurchase it yet. I've used it a handful of times. And I do like it, and it is meant for like cameras and film and things like that. So I think if you're a YouTuber or Instagrammer and you're posting a lot and having your face out there, especially on camera, I think this is a great go-to foundation for that. I know it says something about being ready for the new format that they're coming out with, like 4K. I still film in 1080p. I don't know that I will ever get a 4K type camera. That's not really that important to me, but if that is something that is important to you, this is supposed to be compatible with that. So that's good that they're keeping up with technology as far as how film and cameras are changing their format. So I have to commend them for being innovative in that respect. Now moving on to the concealer. I know a lot of people are loving it, and I really don't, and you'll see in the demo when we cut to that how messy the tube got. I just don't like the applicator. I think the formula is okay. If you're going to buy a high-end concealer, I would look into the Urban Decay Naked Skin. I think that one has a very full coverage, lightweight formula, and it has a doe foot applicator, so it's a lot cleaner and easier to use. This one's just a little too messy. The formula is nice, but I wouldn't pick it over the Urban Decay concealer. So I'm going to cut right into the demo so you can see how it applies. I use both the kabuki brush on one side and a beauty blender on the other. So we'll get into that and my thoughts on application, and then we will be right back. Hey guys, so I'm going to go ahead with the demo portion of the review and demo of the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation Stick. I have mine in the old shade is 120, the new shade is Y245, and I've also got the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Invisible Cover Concealer, and we're going to review this one as well. For reference, mine is in the shade Y23. And I'm going to do one side of my face with a kabuki brush and the other side with the beauty blender. And I did already prime, and I did prime my T-zone area with the Makeup Forever Step 1 Smoothing Primer, so that's already set in. And I'm just going to start war painting my face. Okay, I'm going to start my left side, which you watching, it will be your right side. I'm starting with the Sigma F80 Flat Kabuki Brush. Okay, the left side, my left, your right, is done with the kabuki brush, and now I'm going to move to the other side, which is my right, your left. That gets so confusing, with the beauty blender. And I have to say, on the other side where I use the kabuki brush, it blended out really, really well. It's not clinging to any dry patches because I do have dry skin. And it just was super quick to get it all blended in. Okay, so I've got this side done with the beauty blender, and as far as application goes, I don't know if you can tell, but they look about the same. They applied the same, so I don't think it matters which method you use. I think it's just based on preference. I think, for me, I use the beauty blender for almost all of my makeup application, but I think I like the brush a little bit better. I think it moves really well with the kabuki brush. It's not enough to not use the beauty blender. I think it worked just as well, but for this foundation, I think it just moved a little bit nicer and just a little bit easier with the kabuki brush. Okay, now I'm going to move on to concealer, and I'm using the Invisible Cover Concealer. And we're just going to put this under the eye. I don't love the applicator. I feel like you have to squeeze and then it sucks it back up, so I feel like I have to keep applying pressure to get it out. And then all of a sudden, like I did here, I've got a big blob, so now I'm trying to use the tip to kind of move it around. I mean, the tip isn't uncomfortable or anything, but I like a doe foot applicator a little better. Okay, I've got it all under my eyes. I'm also going to try it as a highlighting concealer. So I'm going to put a little bit on my nose and on my forehead. Golly, this came out so much. I really don't like this applicator. And run it down my chin and on my Cupid's bow. I feel like seeing it gets really, really messy. Can you see that? Like, it's super messy. I just don't love the applicator style of this, but let's see how it blends out. And I would definitely use a beauty blender or sponge to blend this out. If you're like me and it just comes out too quickly and you get too much, at least a sponge will soak up the excess product. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set my under eyes with some powder and apply my bronzer, my blush, my highlight, all that. So I'm going to finish my face and then I will be right back and we will talk about my thoughts on both of these products. Alright, well, I am back with my makeup finished, and like I had mentioned in the earlier parts of the video, I really do think it's important to set this foundation with a powder just so it doesn't move on you. Other than that, I really do like the finish of it. I think it's really great for dry skin because it doesn't cling to any dry patches and it glides really well across the skin. However, if you have oily skin, I don't think you're going to like it. I think it's going to slip and slide a little bit more. You might want to try setting it with a really heavy duty mattifying powder. Again, I don't have a whole lot of experience with oily skin. I've had dry skin all of my life, but I would say based on someone who has dry skin, it works beautifully for that skin type. But again, on oily skin, I just can't advise you very well on that. I just don't think you're gonna love it. So other than that, I appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out my review on the foundation stick and also on the concealer. I always would advise you to take my review with a grain of salt. I hope it helps and guides you in the purchasing process, but just because it did or didn't work for me doesn't mean it will be the same for you. So I definitely recommend trying to get samples and testing it out first because they are expensive. I can't remember the price of the concealer. I will leave the little price thing right here on the screen, but I do remember that the foundation was $43, so that is a pretty steep price tag for a foundation, and you do not get a full ounce on this. I think you get just less than half an ounce, so it's 0.44 ounces, so just under half. It doesn't take a lot though. I do think this would last just as long as a full ounce liquid foundation would because it is high coverage and you don't really need to apply it very much. I think in my demo I went a little overboard with the application. I think next time I will try to narrow that down to maybe 2 stripes across the cheek area and just 1 across the forehead because it does blend out very, very well. So other than that, thank you guys so much for stopping by and checking out my review and demo. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.